At the 17th BRICS Summit, Prime Minister Narendra Modi delivered a strong and timely message, urging fellow member nations to unite in securing the supply chains for critical minerals and ensure that no country uses these resources as a weapon. China currently dominates global production and processing of rare earth minerals. And without naming any country, Prime Minister Modi said, and I quote here, "We need to work together to make supply chains for critical minerals and technology secure and reliable. It's important to ensure that no country uses these resources for its own selfish gain or as a weapon against others." Now, Prime Minister Modi's statement comes at a moment of growing concern over the strategic control of minerals such as lithium, nickel, and rare earth minerals. These elements are important for electric vehicles, drones, energy storage systems, and advanced electronics. The underlying warning was clear that without collective action, these resources could become instruments of geopolitical leverage. China dominates the global production and processing of rare earths. It has recently begun to tighten its grip. In a significant shift in strategy, Beijing introduced export restrictions on rare earth materials and the powerful magnets derived from them. The impact was immediate. Automakers in countries like India and Japan faced production cuts, while the United States, under pressure from its own manufacturing sector, was forced to soften its stance on tariffs against Chinese goods. Despite having faced a similar rare earth crisis more than a decade ago, Western governments were caught off guard once again. Over the years, many critical mineral strategies were drafted, but few were truly implemented. As a result, supply chains remain fragile and inventories low. It's been over the decade and a half since China first cut rare earth minerals exports to Japan in 2011. The West has failed to find new suppliers. Some modest steps were also taken, like Korea expanded its stockpiles, Japan invested in Australian mines, yet most Western governments devised critical minerals strategies and then chose not to fund them. This underlines that Prime Minister Modi's appeal is not just diplomatic gesture, but it is a strategic call to action. His vision is one of resilience and responsibility, where no single country holds unchecked power over resources that fuel global progress. And well, joining us on the broadcast is our Assistant Editor for Foreign Affairs, Siddhant Sibal. Siddhant, first up, talk to us about Prime Minister Modi's big message at the BRICS Summit, where he has urged BRICS nations to thwart weaponization of critical minerals.
Well, a key message to China. Remember that China had put export controls on the export of rare earths or critical mineral. And remember that China is one of the leading, in fact, the leading producer of critical minerals which are used in various equipments and, of course, very important to modern lifestyle. Now, essentially, that's a message at a time when India has been engaging with Beijing when it comes to critical minerals. In fact, we know that Indian Ministry of External Affairs has several times now said that it is engaging on the export controls that have been imposed, and that of course impacts India. But all throughout the visit, India's focus has been on critical minerals and rare earths. Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi is on a 5-country visit, and if you look at any country, be it Argentina or other countries, focus has been on supply chains of critical minerals. In fact, in Argentina, there has been a key focus given that the country has vast deposits of rare earths, something that India is keen to have at a time when it is industrializing fast and focusing on manufacturing, especially local manufacturing.
Right, Siddhant, apart from this aspect of critical minerals, Prime Minister Modi also spoke about the aspirations of Global South and how the aspirations of the Global South should be included in key decisions. Talk to us more on that.
Well, yes, that remained the big focus of the Indian Prime Minister, the reforms of the global governance institutions, including, of course, the United Nations Security Council, and whether it is the Indian Prime Minister's statement on reforming the UNSC or whether it is the joint statement In fact, the joint statement released after the summit mentioned about the aspirations of India and Brazil, which is backed by China and Russia, which was mentioned in the joint statement when it comes to playing greater role at the reformed United Nations Security Council. The Indian Prime Minister, of course, expressed his disappointment that UNSC reforms cannot take place. In fact, they are not taking place at a fast pace. We know that there is intergovernmental conversation, a mechanism as well, but that hasn't gone any far in terms of reforming the UNSC. India is seen as an important contender, being the most populated country on the planet, the 5th largest economy. But it looks like that there is a logjam, and we know that of the 5 countries, 4 countries have backed India's bid for the UNSC. One country, that is China, hasn't been very vocal about supporting India's bid to be part of a reformed United Nations Security Council.
Right, Siddhant, thanks very much for getting us the latest. That was SNED Foreign Affairs, Siddhant Sibul, joining us live from New Delhi.